This morning, I invite you to ponder with me the very nature, mystery, and dynamics of human relationships. So let us think broadly about this subject as a whole and deeply about our own relationships, past and present. Our relationships with individuals and the larger groups we belong to feed our souls and are our greatest source of comfort, inspiration, and growth, as well as our greatest challenge and spiritual practice. Our ties, our bonds, our relationships with others are our greatest source of blessing, love, and fulfillment, and too, our greatest source of wounding, suffering, and pain, or just plain irritation. Within the ever-shifting dynamics of our relationships is how we know connection, intimacy, understanding, acceptance, patience, selflessness, forgiveness, and so much more. All of the best spiritual qualities that we are encouraged to cultivate and aspire to as people of faith. Our bonds are sacred, and we are bound to one another with invisible cords of connection, even in death. Throughout our lives, we find ourselves in all manner of relationships, from intimate and personal to more casual and professional, perhaps hierarchical with the power and authority structure, or more egalitarian, from being totally dependent on certain others to realizing our interdependence and even our independence. The image of a permeable inner circle and an outer circle comes to mind. If we are in the center of the circle, there are those extra special people that we keep closest to us, around us, and then there are those on the next layer out, on the periphery of our lives, and then more circles of those we are just associated with through groups or teams or organizations, and the circles extend further and further out. And all of those circles are probably an evolving, changing dynamic through time as we develop and evolve, and people come and go from our lives, and our circumstances or locations or interests change. Think back to your COVID bubble. That is your inner circle. Think about who you call in a crisis and who you keep at arm's length, those who drain your life force energy. With some people, we feel safe and comfortable to share our deepest, truest self and vulnerabilities and cultivate a relationship of real depth and reciprocity, while with certain others, there is no real connection, only a skimming of the surface, a shallowness, and we may even feel guarded and maybe even have the sense that someone might have the capacity to hurt us in some way, like there is some sense of danger. Not everyone has our best interests at heart. In our varied relationships, we experience a certain chemistry, comfort level, safety, security, or not, rapport and ease or not, connection or not. We experience friction or flow in our interactions, and we can be affected and influenced for good or for ill. And two, we must consider the effect and influence we have on the others in our circles, how our own behaviors, moods, attitudes, actions, and inactions affect those around us, how we ourselves nurture or damage the connections we have with others. In relationship, we come to learn more and more about ourselves, are seen, mirrored, affirmed, and witnessed, and perhaps challenged to be our better or best self, to come to truly know who we are and have the opportunity to stretch, to grow, to give and receive care, love, and support by hopefully the people who only want the very best for us and are there when we need help. Those people you can lean on, like our great song we just sang. However, in some relationships, we are simply not loved enough. And in the worst, most painful, toxic, dysfunctional relationships, We are led astray, neglected, overlooked, harmed, abused, perhaps even disowned by our own families. And this is the worst kind of pain. With the others around us, we share the experience of life, the experience of being human, all of the highs and lows, the good and the bad, and without a doubt, the nature of our relationships determines in part our outlook or perspective on life as a whole, either negatively or positively. Relationship expert and therapist Esther Perel has said, "The quality of our relationships determines the quality of our lives." That, in fact, is her main message and mission, even the slogan on her website. And isn't it interesting that some people devote their lives to helping people improve their relationships, or even study the subject scientifically, and develop theories and models to help people relate optimally? So let us honor the joy and all of the blessings that our circles bring to our lives, and also acknowledge the sorrow and other complex emotions we feel around, about certain people, and maybe we even wish for, long for, different types, kinds, quality, or quantity of relationships. Even if you do enjoy your solitude or consider yourself a lone wolf. And of course, so many of us are neurodiverse or have social anxiety, which may make it more challenging to connect. We humans are relational beings caught in the interdependent web of all existence. And in this service, I am focusing on the web of just other humans. We depend, rely, and need so many types of relationships throughout all the stages of our lives, with varying degrees of purpose and length, some lifelong, some fleeting, with varying degrees of closeness or distance, and with those hierarchy and power dynamics I mentioned earlier, and necessary boundaries or even brick walls as needed to keep us safe. But sometimes maybe those brick walls need to come down so we can let more people into our inner circle, into our hearts, and maybe figure out why we are so defended. As we develop from childhood to adulthood and navigate every phase of life, each relationship we have serves a different purpose, just as we play certain roles in others' lives and have responsibilities to them and for them. We have and are children, parents, grandparents, siblings, extended and nuclear family, friends, friends of friends, romantic partners, spouses, neighbors, casual acquaintances, classmates, colleagues, employers, caregivers, mentors, teachers, companions, business partners, teammates, and of course, fellow congregants. We are even in relationship, albeit negative ones, with our adversaries, opponents, or enemies, or just people we simply do not like. Yes, they are there at the furthest edges of your circle because you give them attention and psychic energy in a negative way. Your relationships with those within both your inner and outer circle can nourish you, define you, make you, shape you, lift you, break you, or haunt you. And we all know that we outgrow certain relationships. We drift apart, we evolve, we change, we start new chapters. We have dramatic, traumatic flameouts, estrangements, and endings. We get ghosted and never find out why. But we also have miraculous, synchronistic meetings and new connections, reconciliations, and healings. A season and a reason for all the people in your life, as it is said. Each and every one of your relationships is unique and has its own spirit. And only you can determine what each person means to you as you recognize the special qualities, blessings, and gifts they bring to your life, what they teach you, how they challenge you, how they trigger you. Because realistically, we all know that some people bring out the best in us and some bring out the worst. That's the thing about relationships. They are all raw and real and messy. To be in relationship with others is, if we are lucky, effortless and natural and life-giving, with the occasional bump in the road. And in the difficult ones, sometimes sacrifice, negotiation, compromise, and growth is required of us just to get along. And we all know sometimes even getting along is just not possible, and we have to part ways, either amicably or not. To be in relationship is to know conflict, exasperation, frustration, irreconcilable differences. To be in relationship is to risk our hearts, to risk being hurt, rejected, betrayed, disappointed, to risk loss and unbearable grief, because we know just how fragile life is and how those we love can be taken from us in a moment. So this morning, as we worship here with our chosen community, let us appreciate what matters most in life, who matters most. And let us be tender with our hurt places and our shattered hearts, maybe even our hardened hearts, as we reflect on the others we are journeying through life with. Those ever-widening circles of souls that surround us, those who help us become who we are. And let us be gentle with our fragile hearts as we mourn for those we have lost. And forgive ourselves for our own failures, for causing pain and lost connection through our own neglect, wrong thinking, wrong action, and promises broken. And consider changing course if we need to, making new promises to ourselves and others about how we will be in relationship. Showing up, reaching out, opening our hearts, breaking down the defenses that keep us separate and disconnected, alone and lonely. I have a 90-year-old mentor who has taught me that you can't make old friends. She has lived a very long life, has a very large family, and many, many people in her life. But she is the loneliest person I know, and that makes me sad. The people with whom she had the deepest connections in her life are gone. And I share this anecdote as an invitation to gratitude, an invitation to not take for granted the time we have on this earth and the most important people you share that time with, and as a reminder of the inevitability of loss and sadness sooner or later. Shared experience and shared memory make relationship, and so too does time, intention, concern, empathy, effort, commitment, and a dose of intangible magic, a chemistry, a spirit that connects certain of us to certain others. I can't help but be in awe of this aspect of our humanity. Whether your circle is large or tiny does not matter. What matters is that they are your sacred circle, your web of relationship and connection that blesses your life. They need you and you need them. So in this moment, we'll go back into some meditation and imagine yourself, feel yourself in the center of your circle, surrounded by all of those you are in relationship with, your intimates, your family, friends, beloveds, and then imagine widening out to your extended circle and to your acquaintances, all of the groups and organizations you belong to, all of the people that belong to the same things that you do. Everyone you encounter in your daily life. You might know their name or you might not. But everyone matters. Everyone is a precious gift. They belong to you and you belong to them. What a miracle and a mystery it is. A fleeting blessing to cherish until we are all gone from this life. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. Thank you for your kind attention.